शान्तबान्धवान् भजनं हि कथं पश्चात् सुविनश्याममाधव यद्यप्येते न पश्यन्ति भोगोपहतचेतसः कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं मित्रद्रोहे च पातकम् कथं न ज्ञेयमस्माभिः पापादस्मान् निवर्तितुं कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं प्रपश्यते जनार्दन कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति कुलधर्मा सनातनाः धर्मे नश्ये कुलं कृष्णम् अधर्मो विभवत्युत
Arjuna is trying to justify his vairagya. Verses 31 to 40. 31 he says, I see adverse omens, O Keshava. I do not foresee any good in killing one's own kinsmen in battle. As we saw last week, when a person gets emotionally disturbed, he turns superstitious. He becomes very superstitious. Emotional disturbance is because intellect not functioning. And then when the intellect is not functioning, the person turns superstitious. And that's what he's saying. I am seeing many adverse omens. Adverse omen means nimittani. All bad. It's like saying, I know something bad is going to happen. There are so many signs of omens. What he means is whatever the description of the bad omens are. I see all of them, Krishna. I am so sure that it is going to result in total destruction. As though when you get into war, it is going to be something very beneficial. The fact that he wants to fight itself is asking for destruction. Now he is saying, I see many. Now I am seeing total destruction. And he exposes himself. He is saying, I do not see any good in killing one's own kinsmen in battle. He is not worried about killing. He is worried about killing whom he calls as his own. That's all. He is not worried about. If he is worried about killing, he would have. A person who is convinced about the ill effects of killing, you can never convince him to fight. Even Krishna can't convince that man to fight. Now what Arjuna is trying is, he is not averse to killing. He is saying killing one's own people is like saying stealing per se is okay, but stealing from one's own family is, within brothers and sisters we should not steal, but stealing from neighbors is alright. That's all he is saying. I do not foresee any good in killing one's own kinsmen. What he didn't realize is the truth of life. You fight with those whom you call as yours. You can never fight with you cannot fight with the stranger. Fight is impossible with the stranger. Fight always happens with whom you call as yours, or for the sake of whom you call as yours. Therefore, any fight, starting point is, wherever there is a fight, the starting point is minus. Either you fight for yourself or you fight for those whom you call as yours. My country. I am fighting for my country. Those whom you called as your countrymen yesterday becomes enemy. Just three fellows sitting there and redrawing the boundaries. Same countrymen becomes enemies. And you kill them, you will be awarded with Paramveer Chakra. Yeah, you will be awarded with medals also. Therefore, the problem is not with killing. The problem that Arjuna is having is killing and so on. All along he thought he was killing, thinking that he is doing good to his own people. Just as all along he was acquiring wealth. All along he was hoarding wealth. All along he was doing all this. When he was doing all this, what he thought? He was doing something good for whoever he called as his own. By the law of nature, what happens is, you have to fight. You have to fight with them only. And you have to go through that. You have to go through that pain. What is the law of nature? Attachment will result in pain. You have to experience the excruciating pain. It's excruciating. Almost suicidal. But you can't escape. No one can escape from that pain of. All along he thought he got the name also as Dhananjaya, winner of wealth. He was winning wealth, not for doing charity, for what he thought is his own. After giving everything to his own, now he is standing, having to kill his own. Yeah. Now understand. You create your own attachment and you yourself have to destroy it. That's the pain. You create it. Nobody from outside can destroy it. You alone have to. And when you create an attachment, it is very pleasant. It's very pleasant. It's so nice. It's so good. And you feel that you are doing the right thing. And the same attachment, who have to work to get rid of that attachment? You alone. It means what? That which you created, you have to destroy. When he was creating attachment, Arjuna didn't know that one day he has to. So wise one doesn't develop attachment because of this. You create it and then you have to destroy it. And this continuous process of creation, destruction is what everyone keeps doing. Therefore, wise one doesn't get attached. And poor Arjuna didn't know what he was getting into. Now comes the second law. Now comes the second principle. Ignorance is not I didn't know. If I get attached, all this only will happen. It is only the fault of gods, sir. They should have told me, no, before. If they had told me, why will I do this? So it is their fault, not my fault. You can say it is their fault, but nevertheless you have to go through the pain. The pain of attachment. What is the pain of attachment? That which you call as yours. What all you called as yours, bit by bit, you need to. It's like amputating yourself. That's why it's so painful. You create an attachment and you need to. Now, others can cut you when you are in anesthesia. How can you cut yourself when you are? How can you cut yourself when you are alive? You cannot. And Arjuna has to do that. Arjuna is in a situation where he has to do that. Therefore, he is saying, I do not see any good, Krishna. By killing one's own people, do you think any good is going to happen? For all the questions that Arjuna is asking, what will be the answer? Will any good happen by killing one's own people? No. Therefore, get away from. Therefore, let's move away from battle. Therefore, let's move away from battle. Because he has already concluded that he wants to move away from battle, and the questions that he asks will be in such a way that you have to agree with him. Learn. Unless you have a very powerful intellect, you will not know how to even understand the difference. So when people come asking questions, actually they don't ask questions. Their own conclusions, they put it in the form of a question. And you just have to say, yes. You just have to say, yes. And you are happy, they are also happy. Both destroys each other. Both destroys each other. He has already decided. Therefore, question, is there anything good that will happen by killing one's own people? Swajanam means one's own people. Krishna is staying quiet. Next he will ask. Next he is going to ask, will any good happen in killing one's own guru? Again Krishna stays quiet. Again, and then Arjuna starts thinking, oh, maybe Krishna is interested in kingdom. Therefore he tells Krishna, if you want this kingdom, I will fight it. For your sake I will fight. After winning, I will give it to you and I will go through the answer I am doing. Not for me. I will give it to you and then go on. If Krishna wants, why he needs Arjuna? Number one. Number two, he is the only man who had the courage to walk into the battlefield unarmed, unprotected. In the entire battlefield, if you know the story, one man who walked into the battlefield unarmed, unprotected is Krishna. That's the boon he gave. On one side I will be unarmed, unprotected. On the other side, there will be my army. Choose what you want. Unarmed, unprotected Krishna, what can you do? Yeah, better to take his army. And it's kind of match fixing. How can they fight against? See, he is standing on one hand, unarmed, unprotected. His whole set of armies has to be on the other side, having to shoot arrows at Krishna only. And that Bhagavad Gita we are still sitting in studying. If we are wise now, we should not. Next week you should. I have to come because I have no other. And every week I come in the hope that nobody will come. Now Venkat has no choice. He also has to come. Rendu pair who has no choice here now, me and because everybody else decides what we should do here. He's complete. We don't decide what we do. Everybody else decides. And why you all come? God only? God only knows. Because it's match fixing. Krishna is saying, my army will be on the other side, fighting against me. And Duryodhana took the army. And Arjuna must have been thinking, now what am I going to do with this unarmed, unprotected Krishna? And to that Krishna, Arjuna says, I will fight for your sake, Krishna, and I will give the kingdom to you. All along, Arjuna is asking questions. Krishna doesn't answer. Yeah. So when a person starts talking, don't interrupt. Allow him to talk. And they will talk so logically, they will talk. And don't get carried away by that logic. Just have some patience to listen. Fourth minute they will say, I am totally confused. Now tell me what I should Now tell me what I should do. And they start off that's what is going to happen here. Look at the arguments that Arjuna is going to give. So convincing arguments he will give, verse after verse after verse. And for all the arguments that is giving, the answer that you have to agree with Arjuna and say, let us not fight. And at the end of all the arguments, Arjuna says, I am totally confused. The effect of all worldly knowledges is confusion. The effect of all worldly knowledges is confusion. It looks like it's going to save you in the beginning. It looks like it's going to protect you in the beginning. And you also run behind it, chasing that it's going to save you, protect you. And what is the end result of that knowledge? The end result of that knowledge is total confusion. What is the total confusion? Not knowing what to do, not knowing which direction to go. Killing one's own kinsman in battle, is there anything good that can happen? What is the answer? By killing your own people, will any good happen to you? No. Therefore, for every question that he asks, try and answer by yourself. You have to get convinced that fighting is not the right thing to do. And yet, Krishna stays quiet, waiting for Arjuna to come to his original state. What is the original state? The original state, the true state of an ignorant man is confusion. But the intelligence, the worldly knowledge makes him to believe that he is very he is very clear. The worldly knowledge makes him to believe that he is very clear. Whereas in the true sense he is only confused. So just allow him to exhaust his wisdom. If you allow to exhaust his wisdom, he ends up showing his true color. What is the true color? What is the confusion? Not knowing which direction to take. Actually speaking, it's not knowing which direction to take. It's just being greedy where you want. It's just being so greedy that you want both. That's all. The confusion is always how to have both. All confusion boils down, all trouble, all pain, everything that human being goes through boils down to how to have both. What is to have both? How to be material and be spiritual at the same time. How to eat the cake and have it too. That's all. That's all the problems. How to eat the cake and have it too. Between the two, you can't say, I will eat it or I will have it. No, half eating and half having, balancing both, no. That part that you eat will torture you. That part that is outside, that you can't eat again, tortures you. Therefore, indecisiveness. That's all it is. What he calls as samshaya. Indecisiveness. What is indecisiveness? Can't take one direction and say no to the other. That's all it is. All problems, if you analyze, boils down to any problem that you can come up with. If you analyze, it will boil down to this. What? Boil down to this one thing. What is that one thing? can't say yes to one direction and say no to, because the pain is if you say yes to one, it implies you have to say no to others. And to say no is very painful. Therefore, how to have both. How to have both. And Arjuna is also trying this method. And to such a mind, 650 verses Krishna has to speak to convince him to say, between the two, choose one. Between the two, choose one. And Arjuna always keep asking, how to have both. How to have both. And Krishna keeps on saying, between the two, you can have only one. The fundamental problem. Ramatirtha says, you can't serve two masters at the same time. Either you serve God or you serve Satan. Either you serve God or you serve Satan. Don't try both. And everyone thinks they are wise enough that they can serve both. But anyway, it's only the attitude, no sir. Why can't I, in the materialism, why can't I have spiritual attitude? You try. You can try. Nothing works. The proof is what? What is the proof? And the proof which doesn't go wrong. The proof that tells you that stands right in front. What is the proof? That you have tried both and it has failed miserably. What is the proof? Stand in front of the mirror, you will know. Stand in front of the mirror, you will know the proof. You stand in front of the mirror, what do you see? That's our thing. Your own self, no? That is the proof. You stand there, you know that you have been trying both and it doesn't work. The indecisiveness comes from where? Somehow trying to have both. Springs from the basic quality of the mind, which is just, it's greed. It is greed. And Arjuna is an example of this being greedy. He wants the kingdom, he wants his own people, and he wants all those who call his enemies alone must die. Yeah. None from his camp should die. All from Duryodhana's camp should die. But even when he looks at Duryodhana's camp, half of them are his own. Now he is confused. If Yama were to come and ask him, Arjuna, I agree with you. Now give me a list. Who all should I give me a list? Now Arjuna will be, because as he is giving the list, he will get confused. Cannot make a choice. Cannot make a samshaya, he says. He calls it as samshaya, means indecisiveness. What is indecisiveness? Either to have it or eat it. That indecisiveness justifies the false vairagya. How much ever he speaks, the indecisiveness still continues, because all your conviction, all your knowledges goes on telling you that somehow you can achieve both. What? Be attached, at the same time be happy. Either you can be happy or you can be attached. Both cannot go together. That's what you are trying. Somehow you think you can be attached and be happy also. And the question is, Attachmental I cannot get rid of, but tell me the formula for happiness. Attachment I will not get rid of. Give me the formula for peace. What formula you can give? There is only one formula. What? Excruciatingly, bit by bit, you have to destroy it. That which you built, you have to destroy. Why build it in the first place? Why build it in the first place? Why you get attached? The starting point of attachment. What is the starting point of attachment? The starting point of attachment is lack of self-sufficiency. Lack of self-sufficiency, vacuum, hollow inside, you have to create attachments. That very attachment that you created in the hope of happiness itself destroys your happiness. And you need to painstakingly remove that. As you are removing that, instead of learning something out of it, what you do? Simultaneously you start. As you are trying to get rid of this attachment, simultaneously you start another attachment. But never you will understand the futility of getting attached. The futility of getting attached. Arjuna is an example of this attachment. And what happens when you develop attachment? You have to fight your own. That's where you go to the what they call as family court. Family nali, there should not be a court. Yeah. Where there is a court, there cannot be a family. But they say family court. Who fights there? At some point of time, they loved each other so much. They are the ones who are fighting there. It's not the two strangers come and fight there. Go to the court. Two brothers you see fighting over property. And the same brothers share so many blissful, joyful moments in the past. And now they are standing there fighting, ready to kill each other. Any attachment you create, you end up fighting that. Now work backwards. Wherever you have fight, it means you have attachment. Since you have fight everywhere, you have attachment everywhere. Hold on. I get angry with you also, sir, sometimes. Now, you know you are? You just, you get angry. With gods also I get angry sometimes. Now you are attached to work back. Now work backwards. Wherever there is a fight, it means yes. And what is the fight? What is the fight in attachment? What is the fight? You cheated. What is the fight in attachment? You cheated me. You gave me the hope of happiness first. Not only you gave me the hope of happiness, you also made me to believe that you are giving it. Now, after doing all this, how can you take it away? That's all. First is the hope of happiness. Not only the hope of happiness, in the mutual pampering each other, the mutual catering each other, there is the hope of happiness finds some fructification also. You find some, that's where what they call as what is the honeymoon period in relationship? Pampering each other's likes and dislikes. And they pamper each other's likes and dislikes so much that they can own it. They can own each other. The moment they get married, they know that ownership has come. Love goes out. Have you ever noticed it? They are in love. And they are in love. And when they are in love, they cater to each other so much. They pamper each other so much that what are they trying to do? Somehow they are trying to gain ownership. And they get married. You got married like that? Abdiya. He's saying. And then what happens? The moment ownership comes, what happens? Therefore, somehow you desperately try to develop ownership. What is ownership called? What is ownership called? What is ownership? Mine. That's all. Ownership means mine. That's all. The moment you say mine, you have converted the other into a lifeless thing. The moment you say mine, you have converted the other into a lifeless entity, a machine. How long the other can be a machine, tool in your hands? It's okay to be a tool for the first few days or first few weeks. It's very enjoyable. The moment the ownership comes, the other has turned into a machine. That's where, now carefully follow. At some point of time, anything reliable you want it to be done, you will rely on a machine, not on a human being. Have you noticed this? You also do that. Einstein might be sitting right in front of you and a calculator. If you want to calculate, what will you depend upon? What will you depend upon? Einstein will say, wait, Why? Why? Number one, carefully follow. First thing, machine is predictable. Machine, it is predictable. Car is comfortable because you know first gear this much, second gear this much. A car is built where you do not know. You go to first gear, what speed it will go to, now what will you do with that car? You go to the first gear, suddenly it takes off for 200 miles. And fifth gear, it's going now, what will you do with that car? You will not know how to handle that car. But then you are able to handle the car because it is predictable. First thing. It becomes predictable. Number two, it doesn't throw surprises. It doesn't throw surprises. It's the same. It's predictable. It doesn't throw. A human being cannot live life like that. Number one. Life itself is not like that. Life itself is not like that. That's why they say life is two things. One is unpredictable. Life is unpredictable. Life is ever changing. In the name of mindness, in the name of attachment, we desperately try to avoid these two. It's a futile, and that which you try, you have to fight. You follow the fight. You follow the hollowness of this fight. How absurd is this? It's predictable. Simple example I'll give you. Coffee is made up of 3 ingredients. What are the 3 ingredients? Milk, sugar, coffee. Inge we will not say coffee, milk, sugar. Decoction. That's in the language. That word decoction. I don't know whether it is English or French or Spanish, I don't know. My mother has been making coffee for the last 44 years. And she is making coffee for the last 15 years. No two samples of coffee is the same. Even though coffee is made up of the 3 ingredients, when she makes, no two samples of coffee will be the same. Is it possible to have the same sample of coffee? It's not. At least I know it's not. You want the same sample of coffee, you go to a cappuccino machine. All the samples, the same. So, if you want the same type of coffee, what you should do? Should marry a cappuccino machine, not a. That's all it is. You should marry a. 45 years, don't you know how to make? Now, how is it possible? Unpredictable, ever changing. These two is so scary. If you do not have knowledge, these two things are so scary. What are the two things? The unpredictable aspect of life and the ever-changing aspect of life is so scary. And the only way that you know how to overcome this is by developing attachments. Attachments, na? Mine. The moment you say mine, some point of time it's going to become not mine also. If you can understand that, then you will never say mine or not mine. You will say you are free, do what you want. Because the moment you say mine, if you say mine in the morning, inevitably, take it or leave it, inevitably by evening you have to say not mine. You have to say that. That's the law of attachment. That's the law of. You have to say it as not mine. After saying mine, to call it as not mine it's like while you are alive, one portion of your body is forcefully that much of excruciating. Even this is a very poor example compared to the mental torture that one goes through because of attachment. What is this attachment? Where does it come from? Lack of self-sufficiency. What is lack of self-sufficiency? Means lack of knowledge. What is knowledge? Life, world is made up of two qualities. What are the two qualities? Unpredictable, ever changing. For that unpredictable nature, Bernard Shaw told you the solution. What is the solution Bernard Shaw told you? Take fresh measurements. Take fresh measurements. No, sir. I am exactly the same. How I was 40 years back, I am still the same. Now, for 40 years, you are not alive now. Because it's against the law. It is against the law. Two things. Unpredictable, ever changing. And these two facts of life, if you don't have knowledge, it scares you. If you have knowledge, life is worth living only because of these two. Life becomes worth living only because of these two. Actually, you don't believe in all that, therefore it's okay. You go to a horoscope man, the horoscope man will do some calculations and he tells you also, you will live for 78 years. I have went to 4 or 5 fellows and they all have given me different dates. And I know I have a separate date. Not all these, not none of these dates. If you actually know what will happen, if you actually know that, what will happen? You go to a store, you buy tomato sauce. You look at the expiry date. You stand in front of the mirror, search for expiry date. Supposing suddenly if it is written on your forehead very clearly, and if you can see it, now what will happen? You will be so bored. You don't know that. You will be so bored. That's where when life gets too predictable, it becomes that the beauty of life, the fun of life is in its unpredictability. It is, the fun of life is in that unpredictability. What is that unpredictability? Not knowing what's going to happen next. Yeah. Not knowing where Badri is going to take me. That unpredictability is the fun. Yeah. Otherwise, it's all. And you try to make sure it's so predictable. You try to make sure that it is so predictable, you will come back and complain, saying life has turned very mechanical. You will come back and say life has turned very mechanical. Well, life is not mechanical. You have yours. Life is still the same. Butterflies are still flying. You make it mechanical. How do you make anything mechanical? By developing mindness. Last example and then I give up. Yeah. The moment you say something as mine and see how you touch it, it will be so lifeless, so boring it will be. The car, the first day, it has not yet sunk in you, that it is fully yours. You touch it, it's very, you are so scared to even do anything. That's why they say you buy a car, go for a long drive. You know why? You will get used to it, no? You will not bother about hitting the brakes. Otherwise, you will run over people. Because you are so scared to. Anything that you call as mine, you get bored with it. You will get bored with it. And the only way to overcome boredom is variety. The only way to overcome boredom is you need to go behind variety. That's where the disciplined way of life looks very boring, no? The disciplined way of life, you say it's very mechanical or same thing again and again and again. Don't you need a change? Don't you need a variety? And when change comes, you say, oh, no, let's go back to you create it and painstakingly you have to destroy it. Painstakingly you have to get rid of your attachment. Ramtirtha, in that lecture, he says, why do you develop attachment? Because the joy period is very less, the painful period is more. Excruciating is to get rid of attachment. Now carefully follow. You will get rid of the object of attachment and replace it with another object. If you are attached to one, you will replace it with another object. You will replace it with another person, but you will never get rid of attachment. You will never get rid of, because you have not inquired deeper into the nature of what attachment is. What attachment is? What is attachment? That which is not yours. That which can never be yours. That which will never be yours. You say mine. That's why it says it's ignorance. Attachment arises out of ignorance, because it can never be yours. Okay, something if I do, at least in future one day will it become mine? It will never be. Never be. But then, desperately you try to make it yours, and then you have to fight. And you have to fight with that only. And that fight, when you are going through, you develop a false sense of vairagya for a temporary period of time. When you are going through that fight, for a temporary period of time, you develop a false vairagya, a false renunciation, which you see in Arjuna now. That's where in excruciating, painful moments, people turning philosophical. And we will continue to listen to Arjuna's philosophy. 32 padinga.
Nakamsheti jayam Krishna Sarajyam Sukamicha No Rajena Govinda Gogaiti Nava Nakamsheti jayam Krishna Sarajyam Sukamicha
I desire not victory, O Krishna, nor kingdom, nor pleasures. Of what avail is kingdom to us, O Govinda? Of what avail are enjoyments of life? Is there any meaning to these enjoyments of life, Krishna? Answer is no. Therefore, let us run away from battlefield. Of what avail is kingdom to us? What is the use of getting the kingdom? Is there any use? No use. Therefore, let's run away from. And now he makes a classic statement. The man in distress, the man of attachment, makes this classic statement. What? I desire no victory, no kingdom, no pleasures. Past, present, future, I don't want anything, he says. All that he is saying is, I don't want anything, Krishna. You look at the statement, you feel like getting angry at Krishna. This man is saying, I don't desire, no. Why don't you take him away, na? Just to wait for a few more verses. Then you will know what is the quality of this vairagya. First thing he says, I desire not victory, nor kingdom, nor pleasures. Nothing I want. Then the questions for which Krishna has to agree with. Yeah. You go and ask a question which the other has to agree. And if you don't have a sharp intellect, you will not know how to give how to counter that. What Arjuna doesn't understand is he has not eliminated the desires. For Arjuna not to desire victory, kingdom, pleasures, he should have eliminated the vasanas. You should have eliminated the desires. You should have practiced. You should go through the spiritual practices and eliminate the desires. Then you will not be interested in victory or kingdom or pleasure. Whoever has not done any of these, because of the painful situation now, he is saying, I don't desire. I don't desire. Of what avail is kingdom? What is the use of having kingdom? If he has understood this, he would not have entered into the battlefield first. If he has understood that what is the use of kingdom, he would not have gotten into the battlefield. If we have understood that enjoyments of life are fleeting, passing, transitory, momentary, he would not have. For a person who has understood life is fleeting, passing, momentary, transient, he will not be wasting time in the battlefield. He would have got into the higher spiritual practices, moving towards self-realization. He would have sat at the feet of Krishna asking him, tell me the way to salvation. That's not what Arjuna is asking. Are you following what I am saying? Huh? First of all, I don't understand what I am talking. How will you understand? The question that Arjuna is asking is not asking what is the way to liberation. He is not asking that. If he had asked that question, it means he has understood it rightly. What he has understood it rightly? What he has understood? Enjoyments of life are fleeting, momentary, transient. Kingdom is of no use because it's on the bloodshed of others. You enjoy at the expense of others suffering. Victory. What is the use of victory? There is no such thing called victory. In a war, everyone loses. In a fight, both the parties loses. The war gives you a false notion that there is a victor, there is a loser. It gives you the wrong notion. Therefore, somehow you want to side on the side of the victor and avoid. What you don't understand, what Arjuna didn't understand is, in a war, everyone loses. That's why this Mahabharata war itself is so significant, because at the 19th day, everyone lost everything. If Dhritarashtra lost all his children, Pandavas also lost. If Gandhari lost, Draupadi also lost. And this war is such a wonderful war, because this war tells you that there is no such thing as victor or loser. The moment you understand this, you understand the futility of getting into a war. You follow what I am saying? Arjuna didn't understand this. He is only worried about no harm should come to my attachments. Keeping that as the primary focus, he is building arguments. What is the next argument? I desire, I don't want victory, I don't want kingdom, I don't want pleasure. Because anyway all this is useless, no? If all this is useless, why did you even plan? And having gotten into it, thinking that there is something in it, because of the pain component, he wants to escape. He wants to escape. In the 18th chapter, he gives the 3 definitions of Vairagya: Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. What is Sattvic renunciation? What is Rajasic renunciation, and what is Tamasic renunciation. And Arjuna is a PhD in Tamasic and Rajasic, because he keeps oscillating between the two. He keeps moving from this to, he's got a PhD in both. Now he's got Rajasic, the pain. Because of the pain of what use is this? Of what use is this? Because it's going to come through so much of pain. If it is going to come through so much of pain, is it worth it? Yeah, you can't tell him no pain, no gain. No, you can't. Yeah, you can't tell him. Oh, because pain, is it worth it? Is it worth it? No? The answer is 33. 33, 34 combined.
Yeshamaste kanchitam no Adyam bhoga sukha cha Ahi devasvika yudhe Pranan chakka dhanani cha Ataya pitara putraha Tataiva chakita maha Matula sashula pautraha Shala sambandhinasthatha Yeshamaste kanchitam no Rajyam bhoga sukhani cha Ahi devasvika yudhe Pranan chakva dhanani cha Acharya pitara putraha Tataiva chakita maha Matula sashula pautraha Shala sambandhinasthatha.
Those for whose sake we desire kingdom, enjoyments and pleasures, they stand here in battle, having renounced their lives and riches. And who are they? Teachers, fathers, sons, and also grandfathers, maternal uncles, father-in-laws, grandsons, brother-in-law, and kinsmen. The entire parivar is standing in front. That's all he's saying. All along, confession statement. There. The fight, Krishna, the fight. We do all this for whose sake? All along I was fighting, I was killing, I didn't have any problem because I was doing all this because who's going to enjoy? I can enjoy with those whom I can call as mine. You get everything and then you walk in. No one to, not that no one will be there. No one whom you can call as mine is not there. That's all. Just as people say, it's like walking into an empty house. It's not empty house. There are still people. Why he calls it as an empty house? Because in that house, there is none whom you can call as mine. That's all. That's where you go to another's house, you can't even ask for a glass of water. You can't even ask for a glass of, you feel so, no. The stranger's house, now how can you ask? All your acquisition, all your success becomes fruitless if there is no one whom you can call as mine is not there. That's all he's saying. You follow? All your success matters only when? All success matters to you when? All your acquisition will be meaningful to you when? All your properties has a meaning when? Not in having it per se. Not in having it per se. Enjoying it with whom you can call as mine. Now, who's standing there? All those whom he has to enjoy, having renounced their lives and riches. I need to enjoy. Krishna, the problem now that I am having is not with killing them. I don't have the problem of killing them. After killing them, when I go back, I will not have anyone to call as mine. No. Then what is the use of killing? Be able to follow his arguments? How? In every argument of Arjuna, you can see shades of your own self in that. You can see shades of your own self in that. All acquisition becomes meaningful only when you can have a group of mind to first. You need a group of mind first to show that. See what I got today. You win an award and go home. Nobody at home. Now how do you feel? So first thing, you need mindness. For what? Not because you love them. You need them because you can go on show off. See what I have achieved today. You know what happened today? Yaaralayum solve panna mudiyadha problem. The whole organization was suffering. I just went and everybody clapped and honored me. You did all that. You go home. With no one you can share this. Now how do you feel? That's what he's saying. Arjuna, Krishna, I will win the kingdom. But then when I go back home, that house will be empty. In that empty house, what will I do with all the kingdom? Therefore, kingdom is useless. Look at the argument. And you also think, correct, sir. Wow, what an emotion Arjuna has, no? How much of love and affection he should be having for his family, no? Number one, you need mindness for showing off. First thing. Second thing, that's what Arjuna is saying. I am not saying. Through each and every verse of Arjuna, I am only trying to explain what that aspect of mind is. If it is too hurtful, leave it. Don't take it seriously. Just listen like a story and you forget it. Don't take it seriously. But nevertheless, it is the truth. First thing, you need mind to show off. Second thing, you need all of them. For what? Second thing, you need all of them. For what? First is show off. Next. Next. Appreciation from them. The wise man thinks like an ignorant man and he is trying to explain. The ignorant man gives a philosophical discourse. That's what is happening between Arjuna and Krishna. First thing you show off. Second thing, what do you do? Share the enjoyment. Sharing the enjoyment is not a problem. Attachment is illa. What happens? You see them enjoying and you have to say, it's all my effort. See, all you people are eating, it's all. You need that. That's why he say attachment to soul. You understand it like that, you can understand the disgusting nature of attachment. You need them for what? First is to show off. Second is they prove your superiority. What is your superiority? See, all that you are enjoying is fruits of my ordinary labor, Shankar. Inner labor of this. Hard labor. I am there. He used to live in the middle of the ocean, no? Yeah, poor man. 6 months he will live right in the middle of the ocean. See, 6 months I have to be in the ocean for you to enjoy. If there is no one like that, suddenly job becomes futile. Earning becomes futile. That's all. Correct, huh? Correct, then. And who are they? Verse number 34 is meaningless. Verse number 34 is saying, how many times you can hear the same? Samandhi. It looks like Tamil serial madri irukkudu. Yeah, and that only they go on. You know, in real life they have never, I don't think in real life they will never use that word. In that way they go on saying, again and again he's saying the same word, Samandhi. Boring it is. So verse number 34 ignore pannuva, choice la vitrala. 33, he says something. What? You need them. Why do you need them? Number 1, to show off. Number 2, it proves your superiority. It proves your superiority because they are dependent on you. That's all. How your superiority is established? They are dependent. Understand? He walks into the house, there is no one like that. Everyone is so independent. Now what do you feel? You walk into the house, everyone is so independent. Now how do you feel? Yeah, where are we to might as well go to some other house. Yeah, why go into this house now? Yeah. You give up this body and take up another body. Because all your things are rendered useless now. So you want to leave this and go elsewhere and try the same thing again, which you don't understand. For whose sake we desire, that's what Arjuna is saying. Krishna, for their sake only we desire, no? That's why in plurality he is adding Krishna also into it. We desire, he should say I desire. No, he is saying we desire, no? We desire plurality. For those for whose sake we desire kingdom, we desire enjoyments, we desire pleasures, they stand here in battle. Having renounced this, who will be left to enjoy the victory? Who will be left to enjoy? There will not be anyone to enjoy. Therefore, what is the use? War is futile. Answer is very convincing. What is the answer? The war is futile. The war is futile. See, throughout he is trying to justify his emotional stand that he should withdraw from battle. That's all. Somehow he is convinced that he should withdraw and he wants, and he tries emotional things. When emotional things doesn't work, suddenly he starts becoming technical. That also doesn't work. He goes very philosophical. How can we kill our own gurus? Beyond that he has no argument. And then, Krishna, I am confused. Now I am totally confused. You see how he starts and how he builds up. First he starts by saying, I don't desire. No reaction from Krishna. Saying at least they know. Adukku no reaction. Some moral ethical values he kulakshaya kritam dosham. Adukku there is no reaction. Next he is going to say mitra drohe. Of all the doshas, mitra droha is the worst. How can you stab that fellow at the back? Mitra drohe cha patakam. And we will be doing that. Even then Krishna is not reacting. Then he thought, okay, maybe spiritual person, no. Then Guru sonna he will. But then, so how can we kill our own Guru? How can you kill the Guru? Vijay? Yeah, you can't kill, no. He is the only one who makes me feel so happy. Yeah, he is the only one who makes me feel so happy. Wherever I go, he makes me feel happy. Yeah, udane he will fall on. Why he falls? God only? Not only. I also go and sit and think every morning. Why is he falling? I try to see what is he seeing. That because I keep a mirror on the study table. I don't keep any books. I only keep a mirror on the study table. I look at the mirror and I see what Vijay will be seeing. How can you kill the Guru? All arguments Arjuna exhausts. See, in this chapter, when I am talking about Arjuna, I will keep going backwards and forwards so that you can get a view of Arjuna's mind, because there is no logical thought flow here. It is just sporadic, erratic statements he keeps making, but gives you a picture of what the human mind is. Desperately Duryodhana wanted to fight. The same desperation Pandavas also had. The desperation with which Kauravas got into the battlefield, with the same desperation Pandavas also got into it. After coming in here, and you have to get into the battlefield only when you convince yourself what? You have to brainwash yourself to see the other as enemy, then only you can fight. You have to brainwash yourself to believe that the other is enemy. You have to brainwash yourself, then only you can fight. And Krishna removed all he brainwashed himself. He fully charged. He came into the battlefield. And Krishna, in one word, removed the conditioning. All the brainwashing he did to himself, Krishna removed. How he removed it? Look at the Kurus assembled here, he said. Arjuna said, place the chariot in a advantageous position where I can see those who can see the enemies clearly. They are enemies, Krishna, because they are here to satisfy. He can't even say Duryodhana. He has to say evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Father and son, both are like that only. That much of venom he had. And the ferocity to fight comes from this. And what did Krishna do? He placed the chariot in an advantageous position, as obedient as the car driver has to do. He did that, but then he flouted the rule. Yeah, he should have stayed quiet. Yeah, just he should have placed and stayed quiet, but he didn't do that because he wanted to give a discourse on Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, since he wanted to give a discourse on Bhagavad Gita, what he did? Look at the Kurus assembled here. The moment he said Kurus assembled here, verse number 34, he started seeing what? 4 times this verse gets repeated in chapter 1. Again and again and again. He sees them as Acharya, Pitara, Putra, Pautra, Shala, Sambandhi. All he's seeing, and then now what he's saying, I don't desire kingdom, I don't desire this, I don't desire that. Of what avail is kingdom? Who is there when I go back after I fight? I win, I take the trophy and I go home. There will not be anyone to welcome me. It's not welcoming me. There will not be anyone to show off, learn. Show off. Not only show off. Second problem. I want to see them enjoying. Therefore, I can satisfy my ego. What is the ego satisfaction? Superiority. What is the superiority? See? All remain to thank me, be grateful to me, because all that you are enjoying is because of me only. You don't have to tell me, but at least inside you should remember. Yeah, people say that, no? Engita solavana, sir, at least our manasukulleyadu nenachikonulla. Why do they have to even? In fact, they are doing you a very great service by staying with you. Adhike you have to serve them. Yeah, the very fact that they are still staying with you, you have to serve them. On top of it, you have this problem. 35 padinga. These I do not wish to kill, though killed by them. Ultimate sacrifice is ready to make. O Madhusudana, even for the sovereignty of the 3 worlds, how then for the earth? Sir, let them kill me, sir, but I will not do any harm to them. That's what he's saying. I do not wish to kill, though I am ready to get killed by them. If you are ready to get killed by them, when Duryodhana said, I will not give the kingdom, no, why not quietly? Why not? Upper he should have said, okay, you want to have the kingdom, anyway it's useless, have it. And if he had walked out, no, it is? Correct. Graceful exit. Graceful exit. Yeah, at least. Now he said, no, I want the kingdom, I want all this, and then have him come now. He said, he is ready to make the ultimate sacrifice. What is the ultimate sacrifice? Giving up his own life. Even for this, Krishna is not reacting now what to do. Yeah, even he is so heartless he is. Even for this he is not. Yeah, otherwise, everyone will clap and garland Arjuna by saying, what a sacrifice he is ready to make. What is the sacrifice? I do not wish to kill, though I am ready to get killed. Unless the battle starts, how can he get killed? Yeah. So even then, even if he wants to get killed, he has to start the fight. No, that's what Krishna is going to say later. Remember, I'm saying so much because for each and every argument that he gives here, say in chapter 2 he gives, verse after verse he gives direct answer. Verses 11 to 30 of chapter 2. He gives direct answer to all this of all the arguments. Even if I were to get Trilokya, even the 3 lokas, if I have to become the emperor of the even if I have to be crowned as the world emperor, why only world emperor? Heaven, earth and Indraloka you become the king. This Bhuloka you become the king. Even for Patala Loka you become the king. Even if I were to become one undisputed king for the entire 3 worlds, even that I do not want. Wow. Great. Even that I do not want. Not only that, let them kill me, but I will not kill them. Because previous was only he said, Sambandhi, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. Now how can you kill them? Look at therefore, he is continuing. The vairagya that he is portraying, the desirelessness that he is portraying literally has no meaning, because he is full of desires. But he is portraying a state of desirelessness. He is portraying the state of desirelessness because he got into a terrible mess which he didn't expect. When he developed an attachment, he didn't realize that this is the mess that he is going to get into. Now that it is exposed, graceful exit he wants now. Let us at least tell me I am a good man, no running away from battlefield for the sake of another. At least Krishna give me that certificate that I am a very holy man, chose to run away from the battlefield. At least that much Krishna should have given. And Krishna says, you are a fool, Arjuna. Now all the arguments that he developed simply collapses. Ashochanan vashochastvam prajnavadanscha bhashase. Gataso na gatasuscha nanushocanti panditaha. Verse number 11, chapters 2. You spoke like a wise man, Arjuna. You spoke like a wise man. Panditaha, like a wise one, you spoke. But you are not. You spoke like a wise man, but you are not wise. Because, there is only one proof that you are wise. There is only one proof that you are wise. What is the proof that you are wise? No grieving. That's all. No grieving. You spoke like a wise man, and at the end of it you are grieving. And the end of it you are grieving. All the vairagya that he speaks about, all the desirelessness that Arjuna is portraying, he ends up in grieving, ends up in pain, ends up in sorrow. Now he is trying to convince Krishna that he is ready to make the ultimate sacrifice also. What is the ultimate sacrifice? Let them kill me, but avanga enna harm pannalum I will not harm sir in return. Yeah. He's actually thinking that he is that. This is the delusion of Arjuna. He is actually thinking all that he is saying, he means it. Poor man doesn't realize that he doesn't mean any of what he says. Still Krishna not reacting. Now what he is saying, even if I become the undisputed king of all the 3 worlds, even then, I don't want kingdom. I don't want kingdom, na? See, if you actually don't want, you don't have to go on. I'm not really interested in name and fame, sir. No, you understand what? That's what he wants. That's the way I was saying. I am not really interested in money, sir. No? He's actually, every verse he keeps on saying, I don't want kingdom. I don't want kingdom. Now, who is he trying to prove? Are you able to follow? Now, who is he trying to prove that I don't want? Now, he's actually thinking that he don't want when he actually wants it more than Duryodhana himself. Yeah.